see, the greatest enemy is not the world. It is your reaction to it. Men today are enslaved by emotion, validation, and fear. They allow words to win them and opinions to define them. But Machiavelli asks, how can you rule anything if you cannot even rule yourself? What you are about to learn will strip away the illusions that make you weak and forge you into someone mentally untouchable. Listen closely, for this is where the transformation begins. The first step toward becoming mentally untouchable lies not in power, wealth, or reputation, but in the dominion over your own emotions. He who cannot master his feelings will forever be enslaved by them. You may conquer cities, win arguments, and gather followers, but if your temper rules your actions, then every victory is hollow. The man who reacts impulsively is predictable, and predictability is death to power. In the courts of Florence, I watched noblemen destroy themselves not by the swords of their enemies, but by their inability to govern their hearts. One moment of rage turned alliances into revelries. One careless outburst transformed strength into weakness. Understand this. Emotion is the easiest weapon for your enemies to wield against you. They need not touch you, only provoke you. The instant you respond in anger, you reveal where you are weakest. And once your weakness is visible, it can be exploited endlessly. True strength is not in suppressing emotion, but in controlling its expression. The cold man is not empty, he is composed. The wise ruler still feels fury, envy, desire, and fear, yet he wears them as a mask beneath his reason. To the world, he is calm, deliberate, untouchable. Inside, he channels his feelings into strategy. When others see insult, he sees opportunity. When others panic, he observes. When others weep, he calculates. You must learn this art, for emotion is both your most loyal servant and your most dangerous enemy. If you master it, it will sharpen your instincts, deepen your intuition, and give life to your ambition. But if you let it rule you, it will turn you into a puppet of the world's cruelty. Every outburst is a confession of powerlessness. Every emotional reaction is a declaration that the world still owns a piece of your mind. So, what does mastery over emotion truly mean? It means to train your heart as you would a wild horse. Not to kill its fire, but to teach it discipline. When anger rises, do not suppress it immediately, study it. Ask yourself, who benefits from my rage? When jealousy burns, do not drown it in denial. Let it remind you what you desire to achieve. When fear whispers that you are not enough, do not silence it, let it fuel your preparation. A wise man turns every emotion into a source of strength. The fool, however, lets them tear him apart. Do not mistake composure for weakness. The stillness of water hides its depth. When you remain calm in the face of provocation, the world grows uncertain. Your calmness confuses the impulsive. Your restraint frightens the reckless. In silence, your power expands. For silence is not absence, it is presence controlled. There will come moments when everything inside you screams to react. When betrayal strikes, when lies are spread, when those you trusted turn their backs. In those moments, remember this: emotion seeks immediate release, but reason seeks victory. Do not respond for the sake of relief, respond for the sake of outcome. The one who masters timing masters power itself. The greatest men in history did not act because they felt. They acted because they decided. Even in solitude, you must practice this rule. Observe how easily the mind becomes a battlefield of emotion. One insult, one doubt, one disappointment, and already your thoughts spiral into chaos. It is here, in this private war, that mastery is forged. When you can calm your storm in silence, no tempest outside can shake you. You will realize that no enemy can truly harm you. They can only try to awaken the weakness within you. Think of your emotions as soldiers in your service. Each has a purpose. Anger gives you courage. Fear gives you caution. Desire gives you vision. Sorrow gives you depth. But none of them are fit to rule. You are the commander, the strategist who decides when and how each is used. To surrender command is to lose yourself entirely. Do not be deceived by those who glorify following the heart. The heart, unguarded, leads men to ruin. It promises peace but delivers confusion. It demands honesty but rewards naivety. Follow your mind and use your heart as a tool, not as a master. For the heart speaks in impulses, the mind speaks in strategy. When you learn to keep a calm face as the world tests you, you will realize something extraordinary. Most people are driven not by logic, but by emotion. They are ruled by envy, by fear, by pride, by desire. Once you see this truth, you can predict their actions, control their perceptions, and shape their outcomes. The man who rules his emotions rules the emotions of others. To be mentally untouchable is to stand in the fire and not be burned, to hear the chaos of the crowd yet remain unshaken. It is to feel deeply, yet choose wisely. Every insult becomes noise. Every loss becomes instruction. Every failure becomes transformation. You stop reacting to life and begin orchestrating it. That is the nature of mastery, not the absence of emotion, but its perfect obedience to your will, discipline. The word feared by the weak and worshipped by the wise. It is the invisible crown of all who rule themselves. Without it, power crumbles, intellect decays, and ambition rots in comfort. Discipline is not simply the act of waking early or avoiding distraction. It is the ruthless command over one's impulses, desires, and fears. The man who masters himself has no master, and the man without discipline is already conquered, not by others, but by his own nature. In my time among princes and soldiers, I observed a truth that never fades. Men lose empires not because their enemies are stronger, but because they themselves are softer. The most dangerous enemy is not the one outside your walls, but the voice within that whispers, "Rest, it is enough." That voice is the assassin of greatness. It kills dreams quietly without blood or blade, leaving only regret. Ruthless self-discipline begins where comfort ends. It demands that you rise when the body begs to rest. It demands silence when the ego cries for attention. It demands action when fear demands retreat. Most people live as slaves to their moods. They act when they feel like it, and wait when they do not. But the mentally untouchable man does not consult his emotions before he moves. He obeys his will, not his weakness. He acts because he must, not because it is pleasant. You must understand, comfort is the most seductive form of control. It tells you that you are safe, that you have done enough, that tomorrow is guaranteed. Yet it is comfort that dulls the edge of your spirit, that turns warriors into spectators, kings into beggars, and visionaries into cowards. Discipline is the rebellion against that comfort. It is the declaration that you will not be ruled by ease. The disciplined mind knows that the body and emotions are mere instruments, tools to be used, not masters to be served. When your body resists, you push. When your mind doubts, you act. Every time you defy your own excuses, you gain another measure of control over yourself. The world bows to the man who cannot be swayed by laziness, pleasure, or fear. For how can anyone influence you if you have already defeated the weaknesses within? Discipline also demands sacrifice. The sacrifice of distraction, indulgence, and sometimes even companionship. There are seasons when isolation is not punishment, but preparation. The disciplined man walks alone not because he despises others, but because he is building something others cannot yet see. In silence, he trains his mind to endure boredom, temptation, and delay. These are the true tests of strength. Not the grand moments of decision, but the quiet battles fought daily in the shadows of routine. Understand this: discipline is not a single act. It is a way of life. You do not become disciplined once. You must choose it every day. Every morning, every decision, every moment of hesitation is an opportunity to reaffirm who commands your mind. Most fail not because they lack knowledge, but because they lack consistency. It is not brilliance that sustains power. It is repetition. A single act of will can spark change, but only discipline keeps it alive. When I observed rulers in the courts of Italy, I saw that the most feared were never the loudest, nor the strongest, but the most consistent. Their habits were rituals. Their self-control was unshackable. They understood that power is not taken in a single moment. It is built hour by hour through mastery of the self. Their servants feared to disappoint them not because of punishment, but because of the silent intensity of their order. That is the aura born from discipline, the quiet force that demands respect without a word. Yet discipline is often misunderstood. People believe it means living without pleasure, without joy. But this is a lie. True discipline does not destroy pleasure. It refines it. When you have control, you can enjoy without being enslaved. The man who drinks without restraint is ruled by his thirst. The man who chooses when to drink is the master of it. Discipline is not denial, it is choice. It gives you authority over your desires, not imprisonment beneath them. There will be days when your mind resists and your spirit grows tired. There will be moments when your efforts seem invisible, when progress feels distant, when no one applauds your sacrifice. But it is in these silent hours that the foundation of greatness is laid. Every time you keep your promise to yourself, you prove that you are not ordinary. Ordinary men seek comfort. Extraordinary men seek command. And command comes only through repetition, restraint, and relentless focus. Discipline is also how you earn your own respect. A man who cannot trust himself to act on his own word cannot expect the world to trust him either. Self-respect is built through self-control. When you do what you said you would do, even when no one is watching, you create a bond with yourself stronger than any promise made to others. That bond is what sustains you when everything else collapses. The undisciplined man lives in reaction. He is pulled by temptation, distracted by emotion, and delayed by fear. But the disciplined man moves by decision. His path is clear, not because life is easy, but because his will is unwavering. He becomes immune to manipulation, immune to comfort, immune to despair. For when you can control yourself, nothing else can control you. And so, understand that self-discipline is not merely a habit. It is the foundation of all strength. Without it, every ambition will fall to dust. With it, every failure can be rebooted into triumph. The mentally untouchable man does not wait for motivation, inspiration, or he acts precisely, deliberately, and relentlessly, until his will bends reality to his command. There is no greater chain upon the human mind than the need to be approved. It is the invisible prison where most men live their entire lives, begging for applause, enslaved by opinions, and broken by rejection. Detachment from validation is not arrogance. It is liberation. It is the moment when you stop performing for others and begin acting for yourself. The weak man seeks to be liked. The strong man seeks to be respected. The wise man, however, seeks neither. He seeks only to be free. Understand this: those who depend on the crowd's approval are doomed to obey it. Their thoughts are molded by fear of judgment, their actions shaped by the desire to please. They become predictable, manipulable, fragile. A single insult can ruin their day. A single compliment can control their mood. Such a man is not living. He is reacting. He is a puppet dancing to the strings of validation. In Florence, I witnessed men of power who could command armies, but not endure disapproval. They craved praise so desperately that their enemies controlled them through flattery alone. Tell them they were wise, and they would believe anything. Tell them they were foolish, and they would destroy themselves to prove otherwise. These men were not rulers. They were captives of perception. If you wish to be mentally untouchable, you must learn to detach your worth from the hands of others. You must abandon the desire to be loved for the commitment to be effective. The crowd does not reward truth. It rewards comfort. And the man who seeks truth will forever walk a lonely path. But it is on that path that strength is born. You see, validation is seductive because it offers relief. It whispers, you are enough, you are admired, you are safe. Yet what it truly does is bind you to constant performance. The moment you depend on praise, you will live in fear of losing it. You will shape your words to fit expectations, your actions to please others, and your dreams to align with applause. You will no longer lead your life. You will rent it out to the opinions of others. Detachment from validation does not mean isolation or coldness. It means acting with intention rather than reaction. It means speaking what is true, even when the world mocks you for it. It means walking your path, even when others laugh. It means being so focused on your purpose that their noise becomes irrelevant. When you free yourself from the need to be liked, you become impossible to control. You must remember that people's opinions are unstable, shallow, and temporary. The same crowd that cheers your rise will celebrate your fall. One day they call you wise, the next, they call you wicked. Their loyalty is not to truth, it is to convenience. Why should their fleeting approval determine your direction? Why should the voice of someone who does not understand your purpose dictate your mission? The one who follows the crowd ends up lost within it. To detach from validation, begin by embracing discomfort. Let people misunderstand you. Let them question your motives, doubt your strength, or dismiss your ambition. Every moment of misunderstanding is proof that you are no longer living for them. Every insult is confirmation that you have stepped beyond their control. Do not waste your energy defending yourself to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. Their judgment cannot wound you unless you give it meaning. You will notice, when you stop seeking validation, the world grows quieter. Not because others have stopped speaking, but because their words no longer echo inside you. You begin to act for reasons rooted in conviction rather than recognition. You no longer need applause to move forward. You no longer crumble when silence greets your efforts. You begin to understand that real confidence is not loud, it is steady. It is the quiet certainty that your value is not up for negotiation. Detach yourself even from praise that is genuine. Accept it with grace but never rely on it. For the same hand that lifts you with compliments may later strike you with criticism. Let no opinion, good or bad, define who you are. Your worth is measured not by what others see, but by what you endure. A man who stands firm in silence, confident in his path, radiates a power that cannot be imitated. The truth is, most people fear detachment because it exposes them. When you stop needing validation, you confront the question that many avoid. Who am I when no one is watching? That is the essence of strength. To know your own worth without the mirror of the world reflecting it back. When you can answer that question with certainty, you no longer fear rejection because you no longer depend on acceptance. Detachment also sharpens perception. Once you no longer seek to please, you begin to see people as they are, not as you wish them to be. You notice manipulation where once you saw flattery. You recognize deception behind kindness. You stop mistaking agreement for loyalty. And in that clarity, you become untouchable. Not because you are indifferent, but because you see through illusion. When you detach from validation, you take back control of your emotions. No compliment can inflate you. No insult can diminish you. You become the steady center in a world built on approval. Your peace is no longer for sale, and your confidence no longer borrowed. You stop living as a reflection of others and begin existing as a reflection of purpose. To be free of validation is to walk through the world untethered. You listen to others, but you are not defined by them. You hear their applause, but it does not guide your choices. You hear their criticism, but it does not shake your certainty. You stand like a fortress, silent, unmoved, self-contained. For once you no longer need to be seen, you finally become impossible to ignore. Mercy is a beautiful word, gentle, noble, celebrated by poets and preachers alike. But in the realm of power, mercy is not always virtue. Sometimes, mercy is betrayal, not of others but of yourself. Strategic cruelty is not the love of harm. It is the understanding that to lead, to endure, and to command respect, one must know when to be feared rather than loved. You cannot build strength by pleasing everyone, and you cannot protect what is yours if you cannot bear to be cruel when it is required. When I observed princes and rulers across Italy, I noticed a pattern: those who were loved but not feared were easily destroyed. Their kindness made them vulnerable. Their generosity made them targets. The people loved them in peace but abandoned them in crisis. Yet those who combined virtue with severity, those who knew when to strike, when to punish, when to say no, these men endured. Cruelty, when guided by intellect, preserves order. Mercy, when misplaced, invites chaos. You must understand that being cruel is not about emotion. It is about precision. It is not the cruelty of rage, but of calculation. It is the ability to act decisively, without hesitation, when weakness threatens the greater vision. A leader who cannot be harsh when necessary will one day find himself forced into brutality out of desperation. It is better to make one sharp cut now than to bleed slowly forever. Most men fail because they wish to be seen as good rather than effective. They hesitate to make the hard choice, to end a failing alliance, to cut off the deceitful friend, to walk away from the comfort that slows them down. They convince themselves that kindness will fix betrayal, that time will cure disloyalty, that patience will reform incompetence. But time does not heal what must be removed. To hesitate in the name of virtue is to sacrifice power in the name of weakness. Strategic cruelty means acting for the greater purpose, even when it offends emotion. It is the discipline to do what others cannot, to make the decision that ensures stability, even if it invites resentment. You cannot please all and remain powerful. Every ruler, every thinker, every conqueror must accept this truth. Those who fear you may not love you, but they will obey you. And obedience, not affection, sustains order. The weak man avoids cruelty because he fears judgment. He wants to be seen as kind, merciful, forgiving. But the world does not reward the pure, it rewards the strong. History does not remember those who hesitated. It remembers those who acted when others faltered. Cruelty without wisdom destroys, but cruelty guided by wisdom creates. There are moments in life when you must choose between appearing good and achieving what is necessary. Those who cling to appearance lose everything. Do not misunderstand. Strategic cruelty is not about punishing for pleasure or humiliating others. It is about drawing boundaries so firm that betrayal fears to approach. It is about understanding that sometimes peace is maintained by the threat of consequence. Those who are truly dangerous do not need to shout or strike often. Their silence carries weight because others know they can. The promise of power is stronger than the display of it. When you show mercy to the wrong person, you teach the world that your kindness can be exploited. When you tolerate disrespect, you teach others that you will accept less than you deserve. Every time you forgive without consequence, you tell your enemies that you are unwilling to defend yourself. Strategic cruelty is not born of hatred, it is born of clarity. It is the understanding that in a world driven by ambition and deception, to survive, you must sometimes be cold enough to cut ties, disciplined enough to walk away, and strong enough to endure being misunderstood. There will come moments when your heart will beg you to forgive what your mind knows must be punished. In those moments, remember that your compassion must serve your purpose, not sabotage it. The man who cannot say no when he must will one day lose everything he wished to protect. A single act of firmness can prevent countless acts of chaos. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for the world, and for yourself, is to eliminate weakness before it spreads. Even in personal life, this truth holds. You cannot build strength if you surround yourself with those who drain it. You cannot grow if you tolerate those who mock your ambition. Cruelty, in this sense, is the act of removing what hinders your evolution, not out of malice, but out of necessity. Detach with precision. End relationships that rot your purpose. Silence those who thrive on your softness. Do not explain, do not justify, for the world will always call discipline cruelty when it no longer benefits from your generosity. Those who survive history are not those who were the most merciful, but those who were the most strategic. Power is not preserved by kindness alone. It is preserved by balance, by knowing when to extend the hand and when to withdraw it. Mercy is beautiful only when it strengthens your position. Otherwise, it is poison disguised as virtue. Strategic cruelty is the art of protecting your boundaries, your purpose, and your peace with an unflinching hand. It demands that you act not from emotion, but from clarity, not from rage, but from necessity. Power, control, and survival. These are not gifts granted by fortune. They are disciplines earned through understanding. You have now walked through the path of the ruthless, not to become heartless, but to become unbreakable. The mind that commands emotion, that embraces discipline, that rejects validation, and that wields cruelty with precision, becomes a fortress no storm can penetrate. To be mentally untouchable is to be untouched by the chaos of the world. It is to move with intent while others react with impulse. It is to see clearly when others are blinded by feeling. The world will try to sway you with temptation, to weaken you with comfort, to break you with rejection. But remember, no one can wound the man who has already conquered himself. Do not seek to be good in the eyes of others. Seek to be whole in the strength of your own will. For the applause of men fades quickly, but the respect you earn from mastering your own nature endures. The powerful are not those who never feel fear or pain. They are those who feel it deeply and still act as if they do not. In every era, the weak have disguised their submission as virtue, and the strong have carried the burden of decision in silence. Choose your place wisely, for the world belongs not to those who hope for mercy, but to those who understand when to grant it. The world will always test your strength, but when your mind rules your heart, and your will rules your world, no force, no betrayal, no judgment will ever touch you again.